Now I'm going to bring up to the stage Sarah Welch, who is our partner from ideas42. Ideas42 is a nonprofit hub of behavioral academics at leading institutions across the country, and they use behavioral science to create social change and make the world a better place. And we've been fortunate to partner with Ideas42 over the past few months, and she's been our key point person on the research that we've been doing together, and she's going to share a little bit about behavioral science in general and then how we've been applying it to the cause of play.
Right. Is this working? Nope. It's on. I promise. Hello? The green light. All right. How about this one? Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm going to, hold on. All right. My PowerPoint uses a lot of cool PowerPoint actions, so, all right. So James already gave me a great introduction, but I work with Ideas42. We are a behavioral economics nonprofit foundation or organization, and we use behavioral economics to achieve social change at scale. So we've been working with Kaboom these past few months to understand some of the behavioral and psychological barriers that might be preventing families from getting all the active play they need. So, great. So before I get into the research, which actually is in your folders that you received yesterday, I want to give you guys a 20-second overview of behavioral economics. I'm going to do it, with this picture. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but that's a gym. And those are people going to the gym to work out by using the escalator. Yeah, it is. So what this shows us is the inconsistencies of human beings, right? So these people want to work out, probably, but they also don't want to work out, right? So it turns out to really depend on the context. And this is true across all sorts of aspects of your life. So context actually affects the decisions we make in crazy ways. But those ways are actually predictable, and that's where behavioral economics comes in. So behavioral economics looks at the predictable patterns of human beings' inconsistencies. So when it comes to play, we know that parents care about it. We know that play is important, but there are all of these contextual details and environmental factors that can actually prevent them from following through on those intentions. So what we did these past few months is talk with a bunch of low-income families and try to understand what a few of those major drivers might be. So I'm going to do that by showing you a little bit of our process here. I think this is important because I think it's something that's useful also maybe for some of you with your playability innovation ideas to understand how we actually got to this conclusion. And I think maybe it'll be useful if you're trying to solve problems. So the sort of classical way that you think about making a decision, like play, would be, oh, I don't know, we decide today, let's go play. So then, wait for it, all right. We play. So that's nice. And if that's what your model is, then you think, well, we should tell people more about how play is great, or maybe we should build lots of playgrounds, which is awesome, so that way people can decide to play and then go there. But when we actually dig into it, we see there's more to this decision-making process than just this. There we go. So in between, for example, deciding to play and actually playing, there's a lot of things you might need to do. You might have to decide where to go, figure out how to get there, pack snacks, change clothes. What else do I have on there? Pack toys. There's a lot of little preparation steps that actually come between deciding to go play with your child somewhere and actually doing it. And in behavioral economics, we call those things hassle factors. And they're small tasks that add up and feel much larger than the long-term benefits that you know exist. And you can think about that with your own lives, like how filling out forms or mailing a letter, like small little things that you know are important, but that you put off time and time again. And they add up and can actually prevent you from achieving your goals. So we call that all getting ready. And then even before deciding to play, there's something else that has to happen. And that's that you have to think about play as an option. So this isn't be immediately intuitive, but before you can decide to do something, it has to be an option in front of you. When it comes to play, there are a lot of things that you're doing, daily routines, that require scheduled times and prior commitments, and play is something that's not like that. So it's easy to get caught up in your daily life and not even have to think about play until maybe, I don't know, you're driving down the street with your child to a doctor's appointment and there's a playground on the side of the road. And that's not the best time to think about play. So if we can try to think of ways to have these moments of choice, times when you actually think about play, then maybe we can encourage parents and kids to play more together. And then finally, deciding to play is an important step. So we can think about some problems that you might encounter there. One of them being that it might not always be clear how much time you've spent in different activities, because feedback, which is a very important way that we decide what to do next, isn't always clear with, so you can think about playing outdoors. Sure, the sun moves across the sky, you get tired, and you're done playing, but when you're sitting indoors, you know, it's cool and comfortable, and you're maybe in front of the television, and that time can kind of go by very quickly without us realizing exactly how much time we've spent there. So these are the three big bottlenecks we identified. Making sure people are actually even thinking about play, then figuring out how they actually make that decision to go play, and then all of the prep work that's required in between. So we use those to develop a few different solutions that might actually address these problems. And I think all of you are also in a great position to try to think about ways to address these in more creative and specific ways for your communities. So, but these are some of the things we've seen. So fostering play everywhere. So this is the idea, excuse me. This is the idea that, in our research, we found that low-income families actually spend a portion of time with their children, but doing activities where their children are not in focus. So they're going to the laundromat, or they're traveling from work and school, and that kind of dead time is a great opportunity to try to integrate play. As we've seen already, a lot of people have shown pictures of bus stops, or just like small hopscotch kind of ways of integrating this playability within the city. Another idea, this is making play more inclusive for the whole family. So one thing we saw in our research, adults love to spend time with their kids. They were really proud of it. They like to bring their kids to like nail salons and grocery stores. And they liked bringing them to the playground, but they really didn't get to do much there. So they would sometimes just kind of sit there, and then their kid would go play. And they were looking for things that were a bit more inclusive. So hiking all together somewhere, that was kind of fun. But I think we can be creative and think about ways to actually include adults and people of all ages within whatever play spaces might look like. And finally, there's this idea of creating the corner store of play. So when you think about a destination playground, they're beautiful and really fun, and they're sort of like a Whole Foods or a grocery store somewhere, right, which is just fully stocked with food. Really great to go to. You might have to travel a bit, and you go there once a week or something. But when you just need a few eggs or a carton of milk, you go down the street to the corner store. And we sort of need that equivalent in play. So a little small spot, a play space, something that's closer to the home, and where adults could take their children to get just sort of daily inputs of play. And then lastly, we did think of a few other ways to address the imbalance between sedentary activities and play, and active play. So the first one is actually a recommendation that already exists. It's from the American Academy of Pediatrics does already say that there are certain areas of homes that they hope are screen-free. So kids spend a lot of time in front of the TV. If you keep, say, bedrooms free of screens, that's generally considered a good practice. But also from a behavioral perspective, changing physical cues actually can go a long way into changing habits. So we feel like that's a pretty promising solution to continue with. And the next one was this idea of tackling that problem of inconsistent feedback. So providing ways to receive better feedback, not only about playing outdoors, which kind of already exists, right? There are some products like Fitbits and Zamzis that help with that. But also thinking about ways that we can remind people of how much time they've spent indoors or sedentary, right? So don't have any clear ideas there, but that's what all of you are here for, right? So those are the solutions. And again, this is all in the folders you receive. There's a summary of our research there. And basically, yeah, we hope that you guys take these ideas and can find some ways to include them in the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. We have time for a question if folks have it. Yes, right here.
So the model makes, take a look at this, sounds like how families or adults are making decisions about playing or overcoming obstacles, going into play. With your research, has there been a shift? I mean, I feel like there has been a shift, but what about that shift with generations? What happened with, why do the parents have to be involved with it? What about like go outside and play? And is it also just with this shift of how are parents with young children these days playing? How do they play as children? And
Yeah.
do they, does it have to involve the parents?
That's a great question. So there are a couple of things going on. One was that our focus was on low-income children. And in a lot of those neighborhoods, safety was a big concern. And so we felt that it seemed reasonable to assume that adults really had to be involved in a lot of the play decisions that were happening. Obviously, children who have backyards and who maybe are in a different circumstance may not have that need. But the focus of our research was trying to encourage adults to bring their children out. So adults being parents or caregivers or whatever.
Another quick question right here.
What was the age range of the children?
2 to 12. That was an easy question, thanks.
Great. Yeah. And I just want to say, working with ideas42 has really forced us to think differently about our work to make sure that what we're doing has the capability of achieving what we're trying to achieve at the scale of the problem that it exists in society. And like Sarah said, really focused on kids who are growing up in poverty in this country. And so we're really excited about the work that we've done together, and we're looking forward to see how this can actually become part of the practice out there. So we have some real world examples to point to as early success stories. And for all of you who are interested in a deeper dive on the research, the full report is now available on our website. In addition to that, there's an executive summary which you've received, and so we encourage you to take a look at that. Thanks again to Sarah.